In our remote world, the written word has become the absolute backbone of, well, everything we do. But getting it right is more than just a nice to have skill. It's pretty much non negotiable for success. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to master it. I mean, let's be real for a second. Have you ever hit send on a message and immediately felt that pit in your stomach? Or maybe spent, 10, 15 minutes just trying to figure out what someone really meant by a simple one-line reply? Yeah, you are not alone. It's wild, but this simple act of communication has become a huge source of stress for so many of us. Let's dig into why. So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll talk about this new communication gap that remote work has created. Then, we'll look at the very real costs of being unclear. After that, we'll get into the solution, right? We'll build up some core principles for clarity, apply them to the tools you use every day, and wrap up with a really powerful idea: building a written-first culture. All right, section one. Let's start with the absolute core of the problem, what I'm calling the new communication gap. See, the very same tech that lets us work from anywhere has also changed our main way of interacting, from talking to typing. And in that one little shift, a ton of critical context, poof, it's just gone. Think about it. In person, we rely so much on nonverbal cues, right? The tone of voice, a facial expression, body language, it all adds meaning. Remotely, over chat or email, all of that vanishes. All of a sudden, our words are left to do all the heavy lifting, and they need to be so much clearer than they ever had to be in the office. And this really gets to the heart of the matter: the shift from a high context to a low context world. The office, that was high context. You had shared understanding just from being there, from overhearing conversations and quick chats in the hallway. But remotely, that's all gone. Every single message basically starts from a blank slate with zero assumed knowledge. And that brings us to this wild paradox. The very tools that free us from the office are also creating our biggest communication challenges. Technology closes the physical distance, sure, but it opens up this huge contextual gap, demanding a whole new level of skill from every single one of us. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is just a minor annoyance, right? But oh, it is so much more than that. This communication gap has real, tangible costs. Let's talk about the actual price of ambiguity and how it hits everything from productivity to morale. So it all starts with just one vague message. The person who gets it isn't quite sure what it means, so what do? They have to write back and ask for clarification. And this kicks off what you see here, a cascade of inefficiencies. It's this endless, time-sucking loop of back and forth messages that just drains productivity. But what's worse? What if they don't ask? They just guess. A single misunderstood sentence can lead to hours, sometimes even days of rework. A whole task can get done based on a totally wrong assumption, completely derailing project timelines and causing a massive amount of frustration. But the cost isn't just about time and money. This is where it gets personal. When communication is consistently unclear, trust just starts to crumble. People start to feel anxious or left out, maybe even judged. And that breakdown in psychological safety, it kills collaboration because people become too scared to ask questions or share new ideas. And here you can see that ripple effect, clear as day. It's not one single problem. It's this ugly mix of wasted time, lost productivity, team conflict, and just tanking morale. When you add it all up and see the combined impact, well, the need to fix this becomes incredibly urgent. Okay, enough of the bad news. We've laid out the problem, we know the stakes are high. But the good news is, this is totally fixable. So now we pivot from the problem to the solution. Let's talk about the 4 core principles you can use to build a bridge right across that communication gap. It all boils down to 4 simple but super powerful rules. First up, be clear and concise. Use plain language. Get straight to the point. Second, really know your audience. Think about their context, their culture, even their workload. Third, structure your writing so it's easy to scan. And finally, and this one is huge, you have to deliberately over-communicate context. Always share the why behind the what. Think of it this way. In written communication, your formatting is your new body language. Seriously, you can't raise your voice for emphasis, so you use bolding. You can't gesture at a key point on a whiteboard, so you use bullet points. This isn't just about making things look pretty, it's about strategically guiding your reader's eyes to what matters most. Okay, let's get practical. Knowing the principles is great, but applying them is where the rubber meets the road. This section is all about mastering the digital channels that you and your team are already using every single day. So let's break it down by channel. For email, it's all about clear subject lines and having a very specific call to action. With instant messaging, the name of the game is targeting the right audience and always using threads to keep conversations from becoming chaotic. And for your documentation, the goal is one, a centralized source of truth that everyone on the team can trust. And yeah, here are some of the tools that help make all this happen. You probably recognize and use a lot of these already, but remember, the magic isn't in the app itself. The key is using it with intention, following those principles we just talked about to create clear, structured communication. This gives us a super simple but really powerful rule of thumb for picking the right tool for the job. Think of email as your official file cabinet. It's for the permanent record, the formal stuff. And instant messaging, that's your digital water cooler. It's for the quick questions, the brainstorming, the stuff you used to do in a hallway chat. Just making that one distinction can prevent so much chaos. Okay, let's pull back for our final section. We've gone from individual skills to the tools, but now we're talking about the big picture, the ultimate goal. This is about creating a fundamental shift in your entire team's culture. And here's the big idea, a written-first culture. So what does that actually mean? It means writing is the default, period. Information decisions, records, it all starts in written form. And meetings? They're no longer the default. They become the exception, reserved only for those really complex, high-value discussions that absolutely need that real-time interaction. And the payoff here is huge. It's a total game changer. You're not just writing better emails anymore. You're building a searchable, permanent brain for your team. You're making it possible to make decisions across different time zones. And you're building a more inclusive culture for everyone. Ultimately, a shift like this makes your whole organization more resilient and ready for whatever comes next. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Is your team's communication still built for an office that no longer exists? Because at the end of the day, making remote work really work isn't about adopting new tools. It's about adopting a whole new mindset.